Hi, Grief Camper. Thank you for joining me for this short yogasana flow practice in which we'll be experiencing stillness as a way to honor grief. Find a comfortable seat. You won't need much for this practice, just some empty floor space, maybe some quiet. You might want to shut the door. And optionally, grab a small blanket or a towel or a cushion, and this might make it a nice support for underneath your hips. I'm going to do that right now. As you settle in, please feel free to make any kind of adjustments to any of the shapes, any of the movements that I guide, such that you make them your own. There is no correct alignment. There is only the shape that feels most supportive for you today. Our first shape is this one, crisscross legs. It's called Sukhasana. In Sanskrit, it means the asana, the shape, the posture for the breath that has sukha, the Sanskrit word for ease or sweetness, like sugar. So find a way to sit that feels easy and sweet. This might mean that you grab a chair. That's great. This might mean that you change the cross of your legs at any point. This might mean you sit with your legs spread or knees bent or straight, as you like. From Sukhasana, easy seat. Notice the transition of your energy to be here. You may have had a still, quiet, slow day. You might not. I didn't. So simply notice your energy and whatever it's doing right now. Your body is relatively still. So what's moving here? There is the breath. Notice the texture of your breath, maybe the temperature of your inhale. And is there a different temperature when you exhale? In some yoga industry misappropriations of this practice, yoga is used to change the shape or the size of the body. It's a physical workout. This is not the true aim of yoga. Similarly, you might feel some kind of pressure, not from within yourself, but maybe from others, to change or resize the shape of your grief. And I think that too is a misappropriation of what grieving really is. So in this practice, we spend time in stillness to honor the shape and size of grief as it is, to honor the shape and size of our bodies as they are. And with that, we'll start moving. Slow. Take one hand to the ground beside you and the other hand up, maybe past your shoulder, maybe past your ear. And please feel free to stop at any point. If it feels good, just rest your hand on your shoulder. Let that be the shape you linger in. You might rest your hand on your head and put more weight on your bottom hand. You might reach your hand up past the crown of your head and take this into a side bend. We'll be here for a few moments. Adjust anytime you need to, perhaps rolling your shoulders back. Think about rooting both hips. And notice what's still, what can be still here. In a moment, we'll switch to the second side. Let your top arm come back to center. push your bottom hand off the ground and take a moment to reground, reorient, and integrate. As we move to the second side, just notice, is there an urge to get there quickly? Is there an urge to make it even or balanced? And we're going to get there. Let your other hand come down to the ground beside you. And let your opposite arm come up maybe to shoulder, maybe to rest at your head. As you explore what it feels like to roll your shoulders back, maybe draw both hips down towards the ground, and maybe extend your top arm past the crown of your head. We'll be here in stillness, but notice even here if anything would like to move. And it's your choice, feel free. It takes me a minute to get settled. Please give yourself whatever you need. When it feels right to do so and there's no rush, let your top hand come down to center, push yourself off the ground, and return to something that looks more symmetrical. We'll do that one more time. If you have your legs crisscrossed, switch the cross of your legs and just notice. Does that feel really uncomfortable? Does it feel like, oh, I do this all the time? Does it feel like, I need to adjust this cushion or maybe get rid of it now? Side bend to one side. Let one hand rest to the ground beside you. Lift. I'm going to keep my hand behind my head this time as I side bend and breathe. Another moment and transition to center. Pause again to notice, is there an impulse or even a rush to get to the second side? Okay, second side. Hand down to the ground, other hand up. Maybe my hand wants to stay on my shoulder for this one. Maybe something else. Maybe I want to touch my rib cage. What feels right for you? Another moment here. And back to center we come. To integrate for a few moments. I'm going to turn to face the side for our next move. Please feel free to adjust as you need. You don't have to turn, I'm just doing this for the camera. With my hands on my knees, I pull back against my hands to make a little back bend with my spine, and then pull back against my hands the other direction to make a curve shape. Back and forth we go. If you like, you can link this with breath. You don't have to. This seated cat-cow action from spinal flexion to spinal extension mimics the pulsation of breath. You might stay seated. You might choose to come to kneeling. I'm going to do that now. Feel free to come with me. If you'd like to pad your knees with a cushion, go ahead and do that now. Again, a little spinal flexion. And spinal extension. 2 more times each direction. Last round. Wonderful. Now, let one arm come out to the side and turn the opposite direction. Put that free hand between your wrist and knee. Draw yourself down and maybe lay your head on the ground, or if you have that cushion or blanket handy, put it under your head so your head has an easier time reaching the ground. Notice what support would feel good to you in this twist. We'll be here for just another few moments. The hand that's pinned down will stay under you, but the hand that's on the top, just maybe reach past the crown of your head. I crawl my fingers like a spider kind of action, such that my top arm reaches long. Eventually we'll unwind. There's no rush to do so. Please feel free to stay as long as you like. When it's time to come out, just reverse that action. Press your hands into the ground and return to the 4-point kneeling shape. Going to the other side now. Reach your arm long and then thread the needle, drawing that wrist between your hand and your knee. If it feels right to do so, come all the way down. Alternately, you might choose to put a cushion underneath your head, kind of like I'm doing right now. From there, the arm that's pinned under you stays down, and you might creep your top arm past the crown of your head. I reach my fingers like a spider crawling on the ground. A few breaths here in this twist, noticing what's shifting in you, what's moving, even as your body seems to be still. When it feels right to do so, know there's no rush. Come on out, similar to the way you came in. Gentle unwind to return to kneeling. Now, you might decide from here to sit up on your heels. You might choose a different shape, like back to Sukhasana with your hips on the ground and your legs crisscrossed in front of you. Another option is to let your arms rest to the sides of your torso. So kind of like you're sitting up in almost a stretch L position with legs out either long and straight or open into a small V shape. Any one of those is good. So you can have crisscross legs, long legs, wide knees, or sitting up on your heels. Lots of variations. You can also be in a chair. Eventually, you'll hinge forward at your hips and then round your spine. Please feel free to change your leg position at any time to be supportive for your needs, your body in this moment. I'm going to have my legs out long to start, and we'll see if I decide to change. Wherever you are, find something you can be still in. for the next few moments. Something to notice might be the ways your body is still moving, even though everything seems still. In the same way that grief continues moving, even when the whole world seems to have stopped. Emotions move like water through the body, through the world. There is a flow to them, and even a body of water that seems very still has inner movement to it. The sediment might settle to the bottom. The little eddies, the rivulets, the waves might be invisible to your eyes, but the water still flows. The feeling still flows. The grief flows, has its own movement, if we could just be still enough to sense it. One more breath, please. And just as slowly as you came in, work your way gently, carefully, lovingly out of that forward fold. One more forward fold before we take a little rest. I'm going to change my leg position. So I've got my knees folded and I'm sitting on my ankles. You might have done this one already. From here, I hinge at my hips and then round my spine. I can reach the ground. Today I don't want to. It feels better for me to stay higher and feel my head and neck lengthening from this position. Take a moment to feel what's right for you today. Know that tomorrow, or even later today, if you choose to do this practice again, you can make different choices. You can also make the same choices that might feel different because we are changing even when we think we're staying the same. You might notice here what's moving, even as your body seems still. You might notice how grief or any other feeling might change of its own accord without any pushing or effort, without any events that change the circumstances around it. Because feelings, sensations, emotions, they move like water. And this whole practice is just us getting still enough to notice what's flowing, what's here, what is its size and shape. Just notice. When it feels right to do so, as slowly as you came in, start working your way out of the fold. And now you might choose to sit again, or you might choose to lie down in whatever way feels right for you. You might lie on your side, hugging a pillow, or using it for padding. You might lie on your front, if that feels supportive for the front of your body. You might lie on your back, and that's what I'll demonstrate now. Please do what's right for you today. Take a moment to adjust. For me right now, I had to move my bun because my hair doesn't feel good to lay down on my clip. You might have your knees bent with your thigh bones knocking in on each other to make a little tent with your bent legs. Your legs might be straight and flat. The name of this shape is Shavasana. Shavasana. Asana, again, meaning posture, yoga pose if you like. Shava, meaning corpse. Shavasana, rather than a bad or negative connotation around corpse pose, is a closure. There is a kind of soft sweetness to this shape. You are not who you were when you began this practice. Changes happen little by little, and forever is composed of nows. So we'll take just a moment here to appreciate, to give space for, to honor that which has changed, what you have shed, what you have passed, perhaps what has passed on its own. Finally, take a big breath that feels a bit like a stretch and let it out. Find your own way to sit up. You might roll to one side, you might rock and roll all the way up. Thank you very much for taking this time to be in stillness, to be in appreciation, holding space. My name is Stephanie, and I'll see you again soon.